Hello there everyone, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and please ignore the super glue stains on the front of my manual. So welcome back. This is part 3B now of the Pocher 917K. The reason I'm splitting this part 3 up is because in the instruction manual, as you can see, we have part 2, then we have part 3, which we've already done. We've done all this here. And part 3 also covers the intakes, distributors, all of the HT leads, the exhaust, all the throttle linkage, and then until we get to there. So there's lots of work going on in part 3, so there's probably going to be part 3A, B and C. So the last one was A, which was part 3, and then we had like part 3 revisited sort of thing. And then this is part 3B, so this is like the standard build, and then we'll have a part 3B revisited if you like. So the way I'm doing this, if you remember in the last part revisited, we added these cables, replaced the black vinyl lines that come with the kit with these cables, and I told you these are called braided cables from Prime Miniatures. I've since spoken to Prime Miniatures and said I can't see these available on your website anymore. All it was the bags I had were wrongly labelled. They were called braid cable. It should be braided sleeve. So basically we've got the, I think it's 1.5 and the 2mm sleeve. Okay, so that's what they are, and they're actually fiberglass, and then I've painted them with silver paint to make them look like braided cables, and I think they look great. Might give them a little bit of a wash just to sort of bring out the detail. Like I have here, and the alternator just added an oil wash, which just brings out the detail. And as you can see, we'll be doing lots of painting and everything. Still not sure about this yellow colour. It might need to be a little bit lighter. We shall see, but we'll get there in the end. So we're going to look at these throttle bodies, and we can see on here we've got DCC3 and DCC4, and they are marked left and right. So the way to get them the right way round is you can see on the back here there's two little cutouts, two little slots there, and they're going to go to the rear because that's where the throttle mechanism is going to fit. Okay, they're showing on here as just a hole, but it's not. It's two pegs, and you can see on there when you look, they're practically identical, but not quite the same. So this one is left, so this engine is the wrong way round. So if you're looking at it like that, that's the front of the car. So this is left, so this one's going to go here with that cutout at the back. That's just going to drop down on there like that. And then this one's going to go here with the cutout like that. Alright, and then we're just going to take our F screws, and I've previously tapped the holes in these with my tap. Even though these threads aren't the correct thread for the tap I've got, they're kind of in between a plastic thread and a metal thread. They're like a coarser thread than normal. So but if you cut the thread, it makes them a lot easier to go in. If you don't cut the thread, they will go in. It's just making life easier. I like to make life easy for myself when I can. So remember guys, this is the standard build. What I'm going to do in a minute is take all this apart, and we'll do part 3B revisited, and I'm going to repaint everything because I think these are all multicoloured. These I'll have to check my references, but I think they've got some very interesting colours on them. So that's those gone down. That's our throttle bodies. They're sliders. They're basically plates inside there, and you have like a long plate, and the plate has holes in it. So you'll have a plate which is sort of, let's use this Brooks Models business card. That's nearly perfect lengthwise. So you can imagine you've got this plate, and what it does, it slides, and it's got holes in it. So when it's fully closed, it's blanked off, or when it's fully open, sorry, it's got a hole, and then when you bring it back here, it's blanked off. Okay, so no throttle, and then as you slide it across, it opens up, and then in there you have holes. Alright, so that's the way it goes. It's basically just lining up two orifices instead of having like you've got with butterflies in your carburetors and stuff. So it's a lot better. So that done there, and then we've got our distributor parts here, which are pre-painted in my opinion, this colour here is slightly wrong. So we've got 3 and 4 here. So what I'm going to do is grab a Sharpie. I've got a silver Sharpie here with a sharp point on it. So we'll give it a shake. So that one is 3 and that one is 4. Alright, now I haven't used this for ages, so it's obviously not got any silver in it. So this one is 3. There we go, we can see that better now. And this one is 4. Okay, so we can see in there. And then on here, we've got 5 and 6. So this one's going to be 5. And that one's going to be 6. Okay, 5 and 6. There we go. Right. So now we can cut these off the sprue. So we're going to cut them off, leave a bit on. And move this out of the way so we don't get it all covered. Leave a bit of sprue on there. Just like so. Cut those off, cut a little bit more off of that one actually. And then I'm going to use a 400 grit Infini sanding stick. Now these Infini sanding sticks are absolutely brilliant, and what I'm going to do is just sand away that sprue gate till it's nice and smooth. Now I'm not worried about the red paint because I'm going to repaint them anyway. I think they should be more of a sort of brick red colour, more like LP 18. Which is like a hull red colour. That's what colour I'm going to spray them. Maybe they should be more orangey actually. Depends what manufacturer. A lot of them, distributor caps were either like a sort of brick red colour, like a Bakelite. That's probably what they were. And then there are also some which were like an orangey red colour. We'll have to have a look at the reference pics and see what we think. Some of you younger guys are probably out there, what the hell's a distributor cap? Well, what you used to have inside was a rotor arm and a centre post, and the coil used to feed power to the centre post, and as the rotor arm went round, it would go past, it didn't touch the contacts, and the power would jump across and then go through the HT lead to your spark plug. And cars don't even really have HT leads these days, do they? So that's those two cleaned up, and then this one here we have, remove that sprue gate on there and then come in and just with our file. Now these Infini sanding sticks are absolutely brilliant. I thoroughly recommend them for any type of modelling. They are brilliant. These are the Matador ones. You can also get the Zebra ones. If you go over to brooksmodels.com, okay, this company here, go to brooksmodels.com or brooksmodels.com, yeah. Email address is info@brooksmodels.com. If you spend over £15 and use the code NMB10, Nigel's Modelling Bench 10, you will get 10% off. And if you spend over £50, NMB20 gets you 20% off. So there you go. So go take a look at all his modelling supplies and glues and paints and all sorts, and kits over there. So at the back of the engine here, we have number 5, which is number 5, and number 3. That's 4, so we get number 3. So that's going to go onto there. Where's the flat? Here's the flat there. It's like a D-shaped. It's like a D-shaped peg and a D-shaped hole. So that one is going to go on the back of the engine. So that's going to sit in there like that. And then this one, again, we're looking for the flat. That one's there. So that one is going to sit on the front of the engine there. Like that. If you get them wrong, the brackets at the bottom get put out. But I'm gonna take this apart and repaint it, as I said, because the distributor bodies I think should be silver. The clamps there will probably be black. We've got the bolt in the middle, which should be silver, and then we're going to paint the distributor caps, paint the screws silver, and then we can move on to part 4. So what I'll do is I'll get those bits done, and then I'll come back. I'm also going to strip the paint off of these, because the paint on this one, as you can see, is extremely thick. Okay, now I wouldn't worry about it because it's going to get all covered up anyway, but I'm just going to show you how to get that sort of lovely finish if you want to. And what I'm going to do with these, I'll put these in some alcohol overnight, some IPA, in a plastic pot in an old sandwich case container, and let them dissolve all that paint off, give them a wire brush off, give them the paint, and then we'll give them a nice thick, thin coat of paint, almost dead thick coat of paint then. So I'm going to take these screws out of here, like so. Put those in our little pot for safekeeping. I always try and reuse the same screws, because if we get to the point where, say we're fitting screws into the interior and we have to use used screws because we put them back in the pot, once they're used, the heads get kind of scratched and shiny. So if you're going to be having to use these in the interior and the heads are going to be exposed, it's better to use new ones. So there we go. That's part 3B done. Now in the same video I'm going to do part 3B revisited. So I'll come back and show you how all this looks after it's all painted, and I'll tell you what colours I've used and everything and the reason I've used them. I'm going to strip these, repaint these. I think these have got some really interesting coloured blocks on here, and I think these bodies are actually fiberglass. I think there's some interesting coloured bits on the ends as well. But we've got to be careful with restoration pictures. Be careful of modern, they may have used modern throttle bodies or whatever, or modern remachined parts. We can also see on there, we got a little bit of an edge on there. We can just sand that off. We've also got a little edge on there. Sand that off. You can see on there the paint is extremely thick. And there we go. As you can see, we've got our distributors assembled. I've marked them underneath with an F and a R for front and rear. Painted the bases silver. As you can see, what they do when they do this painting on the kit, they paint the whole distributor cap red. But part of it should be aluminium, or aluminum. So what I've done is painted it silver first and then masked off. And then this colour here, this sort of orange Bosch Electronics colour, is a mixture, sort of roughly 50-50, I think. Maybe 60% LP 51 orange and LP 18 whole red. So there you go. That gives us that orangey look. And there's the other one there, the same. Now I'm informed by somebody who's actually finished their model now that none of this can be seen, it's all covered up. So, but it's all there. If we know it's there, don't we? But I noticed in the instructions they do tell you not to glue the roll cage in, which goes over the engine. And if you don't glue that in, you should be able to lift that whole upper cover off, and then you'll see all your engine detail underneath, which is what I want to try and achieve. So we shall see. These are also done in etch primer. I stripped them. If you remember, one of them, the paint was really thick, so I stripped them back to get the detail back, and soaked them in cellulose thinners, and they took about 48 hours for the paint to come off. So I tried all sorts of different things, and in the end I soaked them in cellulose thinners and the paint just bubbled away and came off. So they're all primed and ready to go. I got a bit of something in that one. What is that in there? Piece of the old paint, I think, that was probably stuck in the corner. Yeah, that is well stuck down. There we go. So we can sand that out, and that'll be that. Okay, so see you back in a minute. And we're back. So we've got the painting done, as you've seen already, and I've got these throttle plates all done. There's an aluminium bridge that goes around the middle, so I painted them silver and then masked them off, and then painted them in this magnesium colour, and then went over, masked them off, and painted the yellow on the top, because this is part of the fiberglass trumpet. I've made a mistake. I've made the error that I've told all of you, don't make this error. I looked at a picture of a turbocharged engine which has aluminium bodies here, because it looks like it has butterfly throttle bodies rather than the slider type. This engine, these pieces here that I've painted in silver, they should be in the same colour as the rest of the engine, so I've messed up there. I'm not going to go and change them now. I'm just going to leave them because they're pretty well covered up anyway. So looking under here, we can see that this one is left. So if we put the engine as it would be, this is left. So this one is going to go with this cutout at the back. So that one's just going to drop on there like that. And as you can see, it pretty much covers up those plates anyway. Taking all this apart and getting those repainted or painting them and masking them, it's probably going to make more of a mess than if I just leave them as they are. So that's going to be fine. So that's gone down like that. So then we can just take an F screw, screw that in like so. There we go. Grab another F screw. I think these are F screws, aren't they? Yes. Remember, we reused the screws that we used before because we've already scratched the tops. And if you didn't see in my monthly roundup that I did yesterday, Pocher have announced a new model, which is going to be, they haven't announced what it is yet, but they have announced there is a new model coming, and it is going to be shown to the world on the 6th of November 2024, lunchtime I think, UK time. Sorry, I just nudged the camera there on my great big head. So yeah, it's going to be good to see, and I believe I've had an email from FedEx to say a parcel is on its way, and I think it's that new kit, so we shall see. So therefore we will get a review of that on Wednesday, to fall in line with the release, if it is indeed that. So the other thing that's asking us to do now in the instructions is fit the distributors. So if you remember, I told you I marked these. This one's R, so this is rear, and you can see this is like a D-shaped pin on here and a D-shaped hole. So that one's going to go in there, and then that one is going to go in there, the front one. That's going to go in like that. So that's how they're going to sit. Okay. Now they're asking you to glue them in. I'm not going to glue them in, and even if you're not doing the mods that I'm doing, I would suggest you don't glue them in either, because I feel that when we come to here, when it comes to fitting these ignition leads, I think it's going to be a lot easier. Well, let's get on and do it. So we've got the ignition leads here. This is TU2 that they're asking us to use. It's the red one, obviously. And the first one, number 1, is 110 millimeters long. Okay, so we'll get this ruler this way around. Not ruler, rule, sorry. And these lengths are going to be sort of, I'm going to cut the end of this square because the end isn't square. I'm just going to cut the end of that nice and square, get rid of that bit. So 110, that's 11 centimeters. So we'll come along here, try and get it nice and square. There we go, 110. So that's one of those. They're asking us to make 2 of those. So when you actually look at this, if you're trying to hold the engine up and put the, you're going to have this in your hand, and you're going to try and put this on over the correct one or whatever, I think it's going to be fairly difficult. And also they're going to need to be glued because they are very, very loose. The other thing I want to do is to make them look more realistic is put black around the end of them. Now I'm just looking here. I'm not sure this is the right pin, by the way, but I think it's going to be a lot easier to hold it in your hand and do it like this, and then when it comes to painting, I'm not sure if you're supposed to push them all the way over. They will go all the way over if you want them to, and then just put a black ring around the end. But I think really what they're asking us to do is just put them on like that, and then what we can do is paint some black ring, and that will make it a lot easier because they're red. They're basically red lines with black rubber caps on either end. Now, when it comes to fitting them on the engine, it's going to be more difficult as well because you've got this great lump you've got to hold. But I think it will be easier to have the engine sat like that on its. So those pipes are in the way. On this side, we can have it sat like that, and then just work from front to back, or back to front, or whatever you want to do. So when you actually look at the instructions here, you can see we've got there's this bolt sticking out the side here. So we have that like that. So we can see now that this is number 1. So this one, the 110mm one, is going to go on there. So I just need to decide whether we're going to push it all the way on like that. Okay, and then put some black paint around there. Or are we just going to stick it on like that? I don't know. Or are we going to find another piece of black vinyl tubing and put it down inside there so we've got black vinyl tubing on the end rather than black paint? Let's just have a quick look and see what we can do. Okay, so I've decided what I'm going to do is put these right the way over, because if you put them just on the pip on the end, you end up with a sort of, the bit on the distributor cap is smaller than the tube, which isn't right. It should be like a rubber shroud. So what I'm going to do, I haven't actually done this yet, obviously. I haven't tested it before I film it, but I'm just going to dip this in some of the VMS black thin super glue, and as you can see, it's kind of wicking up the inside a bit, and that might give us a bit of our black look. So this is number 1. So number 1 is at 6 o'clock, and so we're going to push that on and push that down over just like that. Okay, and that should keep that in place. Now we've got that super glue wicking up inside there, which I'm not really sure I like actually, so I think I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take that off, put that over there. I'm going to get a cotton bud and clean off any glue we got on here. Okay, and we're going to make that into a shorter one. So we'll cut another one because I don't like that look of that glue going up inside. So we'll put this one on here, so that end's going to go level with the end, and I'm going to come to here and I'm going to cut this off at 110 millimeters. So what we'll try this time, we will just put a drop of glue on the distributor cap around the bottom, and then we will take this pipe, pass it over and push it on like so. That's better. And then with a cotton bud, what have I done with that cotton bud? There it is. We can just wipe off the excess. There we go. That's better. If you don't want, if you use clear super glue, you won't have a problem. It's only because I've used the black that it's wicking up inside and causing a problem. But I know that the black stuff dissolves paint, and it's very, very good for situations like this. And also this is the VMS Flexi 5K CA, which I use. Available from Brooks Models, brooksmodels.com. Here's the company here. I keep showing them off because they support the channel. If you use the code NMB10, if you spend £15 to £50, use NMB10, you get 10% off. Over £50, use NMB20, you get 20% off. But this VMS glue is just the best. There's black thin, normal black. You've got for CA, for PE, for all sorts. They're all absolutely bloody brilliant. Okay, so that's that one. So there's one here, TU2 number 3 is 108 millimeters long, 102 millimeters long, sorry. So what I should be able to do is put this on here. Yeah, I'll leave it to dry actually, I'll do it later because I'm going to get super glue all over my fingers. But in fact what I will do is just grab my scissors and just cut the end of this off, like so. It's decided to stick to my bloody finger to make me touch it. Okay, so now we should be able to get one of 102. Put that on there. I cut left-handed, I'm not ambidextrous. There we go, that's roughly 102. So 102 mil, there's 102 mil there. There we go, it's good enough. So this one is number 3, and number 3 is 2 to the right. So that one is going to go on there. So what I'm going to do is put a drop of the super glue on here, just like so, and that will capillary around. You can push that tube over there, push it down, there we go, cotton bud, just tap on the top, just take off the excess, and there we are. So I'm just going to carry on and do these all the same, and then I'm going to go around and paint them black. But I think it's much easier to do it like this while it's in your hand rather than have to do it all when it's on the engine. That's why I'm not gluing these in place yet. Okay, so see you in a minute. Oh, they're both the same, by the way, I think. 411, yeah, I think they're both the same, so it doesn't matter which one you're working on. This is the rear one I'm doing here, so it's the first one at the top of the instructions. I think down here is going to make a difference. Nope, it just goes left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think we'll be trimming these as well to the correct length so that we can get this nice, neat pattern down the sides. And there's some cable ties that holds it all together. We might look at making those out of some black tape or something. We shall see. Back in a minute when I've got one done. Right, so there you can see we've got one distributor done. So there's all our cables on there. What we can do now is go around with some black paint and just paint all them in, or I may get some little strips of tape, just wrap them around, just to make them like black rubber caps on the end. And I may do something on the other end as well. So that's basically going to sit. Let's take that one off, so it's fall off. So this is basically going to sit on the engine like so. And then if we take number 1, which is here, number 1's going to come over. And that's going to go into here. If I want to do is use the other side, okay, because they're both the same. But I marked them up and everything is front and rear, but I didn't realise they're both identical. But if I do this side, I can stand the engine up so you can see it better. Let's pull this out of the way. So that's coming like that, and then we've got number 1. Number 1 is here, so we'll get this one up, and that one is going to come around the back of the fuel pump and into here. And as we can see, we might have a bit of an issue with length, because that one is going to have to go onto there, but it's supposed to produce a nice sort of flowing pattern. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit awkward. But there's worse news than that. I've done one distributor, okay, and I started off with the tubes in the bag, so I don't know if I took more off of one than off the other or whatever. But basically I've got one distributor, and you can see here all these lengths, they add up to 1,367 millimeters. So that's the length of tube we need for one distributor. So that's what I've used there, okay? Looks like some sort of sea urchin, doesn't it? Or one of those clown heads. But basically, this is what I have left for the other distributor, and it's only 600 millimeters long. That's about 620. So therefore, I'm 750 millimeters short. So I'm going to have to get onto Pocher and get another length of this red tube. I don't have any spare, unfortunately. If it was black, I have black spare, but I want to use the red. So I'm going to now have to get onto Pocher. It's Saturday now. It's the morning of the night you're watching this video. So I'm going to have to get onto Pocher, and before I can continue, because we can't continue beyond here, because we've got all this throttle linkage going in, and that goes over the top of all these cables. So basically we are now stalled until Pocher come back to me with some of this tube. I just hope they've got some in the country and I don't have to wait for it to come from China or something. But I'm sure they will be. Hornby Hobby's customer service is very, very good. So I will see you all soon. We're going to call that a day for this part. As I say, basically, you know, this is the rear, so it's going to go in there. I mean, although it doesn't matter, we'll keep it all correct. But I took the time to mark up the part numbers. So all those cables there are basically going to drape over and go down to this side of the engine, so you get an idea of how it's all going to look. It's all very complex and looking very snazzy. Okay, and if these look over scale to you, they're basically about 1.5 mil. Sorry, about 1 mil. So times 8, that's 8 mil, which is about the size of a good quality HT lead. Some of you probably never even heard of HT leads. But yeah, this is how it used to be, guys. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon. You may be thinking, why don't I go on and do some of them? Well, the thing is, if they send me another length of tubing and it's a slightly different colour, it probably won't notice when you've got one lot going that way and one lot going that way, particularly with the rest of the engine in the top. But if I had half the tubes in this colour and half of them slightly darker or slightly lighter or whatever, then yeah, that wouldn't be good. The other thing I may well do, to get them more controllable and have them less floppy, I may put some wire down the length of them. We shall see. But let's get that back in that bag. It's fighting me all the way. There's a little bit left over there, which is silly. You can't use that. I should imagine, actually, going through the instructions, we probably need some more length as well for the coils. Let me have a quick look. Okay, I've just had a look through. It does look like this part here, N5, is going to go to the rear distributor, but there's nothing for the front by the look of it, so I guess it's all covered up anyway. So I've gone through, and yeah, there is no additional length, so all we need is our 1367. Now I've also looked now at TU2, which is, where is it? It's here somewhere. Come on, where are you? Here we are. TU2 is the clear fuel line, okay, and we need 1089 millimeters of that. Well, there's actually two 1 meter lengths, so I can only assume they supply this tubing, or they get this tubing, whatever, in 1 meter lengths. So what's happened is there should have been 3 in the bag and there was only 2. So I'll get onto them and see if I can get another length off them, and that will do fine. I'm also going to suggest to Pocher, I have suggested before but there was no response, I think it would be advantageous to everyone, to them and us, if they would put like a sprue call out, you know, sprue call out, parts call out, like Tamiya do, you know, so you would have like tubing TU1, 3 1 meter lengths, and then what you do before you start your model, you can check you've got everything, tick it all off, and if there's something missing then you can get it now, or beforehand, instead of like me now having to stop and wait for this tubing to come. If this tubing takes 3 months to come, I can't work on this model for 3 months. Yeah, I could jump ahead and start working on the interior or something, which is something we might have to consider. You see, we could jump here to step 5 and start working on the dashboard and everything. But let's see what happens, because I did say at the start of this project that I wanted to work with the Lamborghini. If you remember, I was darting them out all over the place. But with this one, I wanted to work, you know, from the box, from the instructions, whatever. So I'll see you all for, I'm not sure how long this is, it's not as long as normal, I'm sorry, but I will see you all soon for the continuation of part 3B. What I'll do when the tubing comes, I'll get the rest of the tubing attached to there, do my little bit of black painting, whatever, fit the distributors to the engine, and then we'll pick it up from there, and we'll look at how we're going to do these little cable ties and everything, get everything all neat and have all the tubes running. Like I said, I may put a little bit of thin wire down each one of them, and that will make them, you can sort of bend them then and they'll stay where they are. We shall see. Right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.